Okay, hi everybody. This is our Winemaker Wine Down, and today is Wednesday, July 5th. And we are recording this Zoom session because being the day after a holiday and not quite a full week after lots of damage from a derecho and tornadoes that swept through a large swath of Illinois last week. I guess I wasn't sure what we'd get, but we're going on with the show, and this link will be posted for people to look at later. So our guest host, our guest enology host today is Anne Zwink, who runs our wine competition, and she was going to chat a little bit about the wine competition, answer any questions anybody on the call might have, and and then we'll just open it up and talk about a couple of other things. I'm not ready to be drinking wine yet because we're still in storm recovery mode. But I do have my water. I do have my beverage. Take it away, Anne.
Hi, everybody. In a perfect world, we would all be having wine for Wine Wednesday Wine Down. Well, we finished the wine competition. It's been almost 2 weeks now. All I can say is I'm grateful that I wasn't there during your derecho. We had a derecho in Iowa, not last summer, but 2 summers ago, and it's horrible. And so I feel for all of you and all of your vineyards, and I hope that everybody can make it through okay. On a plus side, I hope that there's some good hope. We did have, when ours came through 2 years ago, we had bruised fruit. And when we received it in the vineyard or in the winery, it had like a month or so after the bruising, and the wine still turned out great. So I hope that gives you some hope. So good luck to you all. Okay, well, competition. What a great competition. We had a great time. We have fantastic judges. We have fantastic helpers in the back. The whole thing went off without a hitch this year. We had a couple, let me take that back. But we had a couple of hitches, but they came together with no problem. We have a lot of great people in the industry that are willing to pitch in at a last minute notice. So namely what I'm talking about, we had 3 judges that were unable to join us at the very last minute, right before the competition started.
One was during the competition. One came and realized he shouldn't be there and subbed himself out. So it all worked out really great.
That's true. He was able to do the amateur, but then subbed himself out for the commercial. So that was fine though. We a lot of great judges, and we had a lot of fun new judges too. One of the things that I wanted to touch on today was one of our judges who we've been really excited about having is a travel writer, and she's a Lisa, you know a little bit more about her background, but she's a travel writer,
former editor of Midwest Living magazine. Yeah. Has traveled all over the world, and I've been trying to get her here to participate in this for 5 years. So,
and I want everybody to know that her I don't know, she just was so fun to watch judge all of the Illinois wine. You know, she ate it up. She loved the entire experience. She loved all of your wines. She had a fabulous time. And I think that says a lot about the kind of products that you are all offering to the normal consumer, you know, to everybody. So I think that was very cool to see. There were a couple of times that the panels that the other judges at her panel said, well, what's one thing you might suggest to this wine to make it better? And like the only comment that she had was, nothing, just drink it with friends. I'm just having such a good time. So I thought that was really cute. She was wonderful. Well, let's discuss the medals and how the competition went. So for the commercial competition with 303 entries, We had 27 double gold wines. Sorry, we had 35 double gold wines. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong sheet there. 35 double gold wines, which equates to 11.5% of all wines entered. We had 38 gold wines, which is 12.5%. We had 152 silver wines, which is just right at half. And then we had 51 bronze medal wines, which is 16.8%. So less than 9% of the wines that were entered, more than 90% of the wines entered, let's say it that way. 90% of the wines entered all received a medal, which is phenomenal. Of the wines that were no medal, they were all relatively fixable issues. Some of them are just, an issue that pops up maybe after bottling, that could be prevented before bottling. We had a couple of wines that were re-fermenting. I made notes of all of these things. Just a couple of wines that were re-fermenting. That's not really a problem in the long term. Just make sure that you can, keep your wines either sterile filtered or put a preventative measure in there to prevent against a re-fermentation. I would say the two biggest issues that I saw in the wines this year were reduction issues. That was number one, was reduction issues. And to be fair, I'm sensitive to reduction, but I didn't spend a lot of time tasting all of the wines. I spent most of my time just tasting the wines that were no medal. And I would say that reduction was the most common fault that I noticed. If you have any questions about how to handle reduction, I'm definitely available to help with that. I have this problem in my own winery too. It's a very nuanced and complicated issue for winemaking that is, there's a lot of different facets to it and a lot of different methods to go about preventing it and remedying it. So if you have any questions at all, please call me. The other big problem that we saw was Brettanomyces. And that one is probably the most unfortunate problem because once you have Brettanomyces, it's really hard to get rid of it in your winery. So, so if you have a note for that, that one, I would definitely contact outside help. Or if you maybe already have a plan on how to keep Brettanomyces infections down. But that was, probably that was our second largest issue that we saw. Beyond that though, everything was delicious. Our award, our Governor's Cup Best Wine of the Year was a Vignoles. Doug Palm, thank you, you're on the call, yes. And I can absolutely see why this was the #1 wine of the year. It had a perfect balance. It was floral, it was light and delicate and fruity, jasmine, honeysuckle, all of the yummy, delicious aromas. And the fact that there were a lot of them too, nothing overpowered anything else. It was a perfect example. And when we were doing our final judging, it was so fun to see all of our 14 judges, all of their hands raised to vote for the Vignoles. So that one was a clear, outstanding winner and very deserving. All of the other wines that received our top awards were absolutely fantastic. We had just such a great list of wines. Something that we did talk about that we implemented new this year, every single wine that received a double gold medal was put up for the best of show the second day around. So I think that that's really cool to see. We had 35. So every single double gold, 35 wines in front of the judges for the Governor's Cup and top awards, and to see them all. I mean, every single wine in there was a stellar wine. something to be very, very proud of if you received a double gold. I also want to mention that all of the gold medals are also super stellar and something to be super proud of, because it takes a lot to even receive a gold medal. As you know, 50% of the wines received silver medals, and that's, that's a very good bell curve. It's very average. Usually, to me, what silver means is, yep, this is a great example of a wine. I would absolutely drink this. Nothing is standing out about it, though, to me to put it up to the gold. So so if your wine received a gold medal or double gold medal, that means that it's, the top of the top, either one of those two. Let's see what if I would love to hear some questions.
Does anybody have a question? I can share. We're kind of we have all of the medals and ribbons packaged up and ready to put in the mail. Probably by the end of the week. We're a few days behind because of last week. So we will be getting that done. And then at Anne's request, we have instead of including your comments and sending you the actual hard copies of the judges' comments back with your medals, we have scanned them in. We have scanned them in, and we are going to send you an email. So that way, if you lose your paper and have a question later, we still have a record of it and can easily access it. We have it in a lockdown. We have all that in a lockdown folder that only Anne and I can access. So nobody else will see any of the notes, but we'll keep them there maybe until next year's competition, and and then we'll do that. So we've scanned them all in. Tina's in the process of getting them in the right folders for organization purposes, and then again, we hope to have an email out to everybody with your notes, and then we'll have Anne's phone number on the letter that we'll be shooting out, and probably put it in the email too, in case you have any questions. You can reach out to her directly. I would not be able to answer any of those other than I could read the same stuff you guys read. So that's kind of where we're at, and that's change. And I hope it's one that you guys appreciate as well. You can decide whether or not you want to keep them and don't have to mess with the paper.
I also wanted to mention that I love the creativity of all of the Illinois wineries. We have our staple entries. We have Chambourcin, we have Cab Franc, we have Chambourcin Rosé. We have some staple whites too. Vignol, La Crescent was a staple here. What's that?
Chardonnay.
Chardonnay for yes, thank you. We have all of those staples, and that's awesome that Illinois has these fantastic wines that, if you're going to Illinois, you'll be able to find 1 or 2 or 3 of those at every location. But beyond that, the creativity of all of you is just astounding. We saw so many fun, unique ideas. It was hard. I can understand how for some of you it might be hard to know, where am I supposed to put this wine, because it's its own thing. And I think that that's really cool. That's your claim to fame. That's your fun thing that you can say, we're the only people who make this wine. So there's a fun couple of new up and coming styles that I'm seeing. Definitely bourbon barrel aging. It's fun to see a couple of you working with bourbon barrels. All of the meads this year, there were so many fun meads this year, and they all have different fun flavors, and that's the sky is the limit with mead and flavoring. And then beyond that, the blends that we see, you guys are doing a really great job of finding blends that complement each other. So maybe you have a Cab Franc with a hybrid, or maybe you have Niagara with a little bit of a La Crescent or something like that. And those are really nice to have, those kind of complements, something that has a lot of aroma matched with something that has a lot of structure. And I just I want to mention that you are all doing a really great job of coming up with your blends. And I know sometimes, it's just the luck of the draw, whatever you have in the winery. But you're doing a really great job of that, and it's fun to see all of the new products every year. Oh, another thing that is up and coming, that we're seeing more and more entries for, is pet nat. So I hope to see more pet nats in the future. More bubbly wines in general. I think that those are great for the Midwest. I'm super proud. I'm very, very proud of all of you.
Well, thanks, Dan, and we feel lucky to have you be the leader of this, and the work that you put in before you even get to Springfield, and while you're here, and the follow-up after, I think is really helping move the competition up to a higher level. So, and I certainly appreciate how flexible you are to work with. So thank you very much for that. And, she's still in the Midwest, but a different state. So we get, a different perspective on things. So anyway, if you have a question, otherwise we might just open it up. I know that Doug Palm was on. Our goal was to have, with these scheduled once a month, was to have an opportunity that people could pop on and just talk about something that's on their mind, or an issue that they're having, or get some feedback. So one thing that I am concerned about and looking for some feedback on is what kind of damage did vineyards sustain in Illinois during last week's storm. We are already working at the federal level to see if there is an opportunity to get some assistance from the frost that we had earlier this spring. Apparently the USDA runs a tree assistance program, and it covers vines, but there may need to be some sort of resolution put forward by our representatives at the federal level in order to do that. I learned about this because of our membership in Wine America, and I was seeing some communication. New York got hit particularly bad, and when I was down south, I think I was down south last month, and I was hearing that some of the vineyards down there had some pretty substantial loss. So, again, if we can grow this and get to a point where we're coming together, this makes a nice opportunity to get input on those things. So that said, there's probably going to be a link in Friday's email to let me know if you had damage. And I know Jeremy doesn't have a vineyard, but the Berries do. How did you guys make out from the storms last week, Lisa and Bob?
Yeah, we just had a couple of broken posts and some wires on our VSP pulled off. Of course, all of our posts in the area are now leaning like this.
Mm-hmm.
When you get those VSP all full of vines and the wind hits it, it's a big giant sail. So it's just a little bit of manpower to get it fixed. Couple of posts.
You don't think any significant damage to the vines, or do you think you'll be dealing with
I didn't have any.
Okay, that's wonderful.
I mean, a few vines, got blown off of their wires, but they're just easily picked back up and, rubber banded back onto the trellis.
Okay.
But it is a bit of a time suck it takes away from what else we should be doing.
Yeah. Peggy, or Doug, did you get hit?
Yeah, we had, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, we had some damage to one of our rows of GDC. It kind of similar to what Barry was saying, just 2 or 3 posts snapped off, the wires are down, and so the vines were bent over and laying on the ground. Didn't really lose any vines, but it wasn't much fun putting it back up. Although now I did call Rick Vale and his crew, and they came up this morning and they were done in 3 hours. So bless his heart.
You got him on speed dial, don't you?
What's that?
You've got him on speed dial now.
Pretty much. He's been up here 3 times now. So we're talking
Wonderful.
already about next year. So, but I
Okay.
love the work that they do. And, but yeah, it would have been an undaunting task for me to try to do by myself.
Okay.
You know, because vines right now with the fruit on and everything are heavy, first of all. So, you know, it's a process, but yeah, that was our damage.
Okay. Jeremy, I know you don't have a vineyard, but you work with a couple wineries that do grow. Do you know if they had any significant damage?
I have not heard anything from them yet. So I would assume nothing major. Otherwise they would have called me up right away, because they have in the past when they've received major damage.
Okay.
But I mean, they're more north. And I think the worst path of the storm might have been along 72.
Okay. Okay. And Peggy, I don't know if it even hit you guys up there as far north.
Yeah, we got no rain whatsoever.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Got some today though.
Okay, good. Okay, well, I think one other thing that we wanted to touch on today is single serve wine. And I know Doug was pretty excited about something new that he's doing, and I see he's got his mic open. I'm gonna go look for your Facebook page so I can share you the screen. And I will say, you know, in my communications I have with people from other states through Wine America, and having been out on the national policy visit to Washington, D.C., and even, you know, in our discussions that we had with people from multiple states that came in for license to steal, younger consumers are looking for that single serve option for wine, and they're interested and excited about anything with bubbles. So, you know, Anne mentioning that the more entries that we're having in the pet nat category, and, you know, trying to encourage that, you know, even the meads, and just the whole, because that's coming from honey and how important bees are. I mean, you know, these younger generations are very interested in all of that. And, so it's nice to see that members of our industry are reaching out and trying to tap into that enthusiasm they've got. So Doug, you talk, I'll look for your Facebook.
Okay. I wish my camera was working. I've got a 4-pack of them right here. I was going to show everybody, but camera's not working. So we'll just we'll go with a visual that you find out there for me, Lisa. So what we did, and we started this process close to a year ago. We had one of the gentlemen that is a customer of ours. You're about there, I hope. Yeah, they are. That's one of our customers. Well, that's what we did there, but the one below it is a customer of ours that is displaying them as they put them on their shelf. No, the other way.
I should get after you about there being more music pictures than there are wine pictures. I know Becca would say something, so.
So anyway, so these are 187 milliliter plastic cans. And getting back to where I was at, one of my customers works for a company called Graham Packaging. And Graham Packaging is one of the largest manufacturers of plastic containers, you know, for like ketchup bottles, mustard, any of those types of things. And they have come up with these PET containers, the plastic, and they basically have a pop top on them. So what they're doing is they're putting an aluminum cap on them like you would have on a soda can or a beer can. But the difference is the size is 187 milliliters. He showed it to me. He said, we're coming out with this. It's brand new. And we're trying to get this off the ground. And we're looking for places that are interested in helping us do that. And as soon as I saw the can and I saw that you could see the product in the can, and it was single serving because there's 6 ounces basically, I said, absolutely, we want to do this. And so we got after it. And the first thing we had to do was find a canning company that was willing to convert their equipment to handle 187 milliliter containers.
Mhm.
I contacted one I thought would be interested. They acted like they were. It didn't ever come to fruition because they never really pushed the envelope much on their side. They always said, yeah, we talked about it in the meeting again, and that's as far as they got. And then he found somebody called Willcraft Canning up in Wisconsin. And Willcraft was more than excited about it, and they got right on it. They said, send us specs. We want to be able to start our equipment. So they changed their equipment around. They made their equipment so that they can switch back and forth between between regular cans and plastic cans. Oh, that looks like plastic cans there, doesn't it? Or no, those are aluminum. They just haven't been painted yet or whatever. So at any rate, so they got on it, and the next thing we knew, the 3 of us were talking. Sean at Willcraft, Eric at the plastics company, and then myself. We worked through, planning it all, getting a time set, and they wanted me to have about 600 gallons or more in order to make it worth their time to drive down. So I had about 600 gallons that we could finally bottle, 3 different kinds, and they were fine with that. They came down on June 20th, and we canned wine. It was an interesting process. I think I'm planning on doing it again. I know that. It's interesting that we ran into the typical problems you would expect in a new production line run of a new product on a new. I mean, everybody was new to this. So we had the people here from Willcraft. They were here obviously doing their thing. I had a number of people come to help because we needed helpers. And then also the folks from Graham Packaging, a gentleman from Ohio, which is the regional director or whatever. He was here and he helped. It has a shelf life of a little over a year, which I think is great. The plastic container itself is basically, and I don't know the technical side of it all specifically, but the way it was explained to me is it has an agent in the plastic that is oxygen seeking, and it will prevent oxygenation of the wine. Okay, it will prevent oxygen from getting into the wine. And I said, okay, that's a big plus, because obviously you don't want your product on the shelf getting brown. And so we went through the process, and like I said, we had it was it was a long day. They arrived at my place at 6:30 in the morning. We had everything set up. They unload everything off of their truck, and it's in pieces, and then they line the whole process up, every piece in line, from the beginning to end, and then they get her started and get going. They clean all their equipment up, they process, then they clean up their equipment at the end. We did
So Doug,
approximately.
I would like to ask you a couple of questions because,
Absolutely.
In addition, just for people that might be listening. So, because I've been following this, in addition to just this being unique and the opportunity to have something single serve, which is more convenient, this has enabled you to sell product locally in locations that couldn't accept a glass bottle. Is that correct?
Yes, golf courses is big. Golf courses don't allow glass on the course, and they're buying it and they're posting it on Facebook as soon as they get it that they've got it. Another application like that is beaches. You can't take glass. You're not supposed to take glass on the beach. You know, so we have a lake here. Guess what? They can take these out of the lake. Another thing that's really nice about them, those 4 little cans that are in that little cap, that plastic cap together, the little carrier cap, those 4 little cans are 1 bottle of wine. So all of a sudden you can take and put 3 or 4 of these groups of 4 in your bottom of your cooler, and you've got 3 or 4 bottles of wine in your cooler, basically. And anybody that tries to put bottles of wine in a cooler knows they're tall and they're hard to get in, and they don't really lay down well either, typically, or they just don't fit as well. And these here, you can just take them and toss them in. They're shatterproof. They're very convenient for coolers. So any kind of applications for coolers, and that's a big thing. So yeah, basically what this has done, and you hit the nail on the head there, Lisa. It doesn't, I don't think it's reduced my bottle sales. I think what it's done is it's offered an opportunity to market to a whole separate venue that we haven't been marketing to. So it's kind of a in addition to sales. So
I'm and again, it's bringing Illinois wine product to new consumers, or you know, enabling them to take it into locations that they couldn't, which again could help further your reach and increase your sales. I do want to point out, I know several wineries are looking at single serve options, not in that that see-through packaging. I gotta say, I don't like to use the word plastic, because I've gotten so roasted on social media when we made the change from glass glasses at events to what I refer to as our high-grade acrylic travel tumblers that are eco-friendly and recyclable. Trying to hit all those buzzwords. So, I mean, you are just flat out embracing the word plastic, and I'll be curious to see, you know, how that works. But my brain from the last, 4 or 5 years is really having a hard time processing that word, because everybody that works with me knows not to use that word. So
yes, I was in that same situation in the beginning, Lisa, but at this point I've been working with it and working towards it now long enough, and dealing with it long enough. It's kind of like, you know what, it's still it's one of those things where, like, canning, say, oh, we're canning wine. No, we're bottling wine. No, we're canning wine, because it's going in a plastic can. You know, it's a can, and they call it a can, and it's like, but it's plastic. Yeah, it's a plastic can. And so, you know, there's a period of adjustment there to feel comfortable with it. But now that we've gone through the process, I already know that I'll do it again, because you know what, some of the first questions I've got from people: did you do any dry wines?
yeah.
I mean, that's a buying sign. That's what that is. That's it. They're not saying, oh, we don't like it. They say, do you do it? And do you have dry wines in it too? And I mean, they want to buy it if it's in dry.
Looks like Lisa Barry had a question.
Just wondering if they are recyclable when you're saying plastic.
Very good question. They are recyclable, but at this point you have to cut the aluminum top off to, because it's a different material. Now, that being said, they also let me know they are and they're doing research and development right now on a plastic top that they can replace that aluminum top with. And then they're also looking at getting labels that are also recyclable. So the whole thing can just be thrown into recycling and that's it.
Isn't the aluminum already recyclable?
Well, if you have
The
single.
aluminum is recyclable, but it's on a plastic can. So you have to separate the aluminum from the plastic.
I had seen up in Chicago, actually in a movie theater, they were selling a movie theater or something adjacent to a movie theater. It was a glass with like more of like one of those kind of like a aluminum but peelable top over the glass.
Yeah.
Like, what am I thinking of?
It's a sealed glass.
The sealed glass, and then that way you threw away the seal, but then the plastic glass that the wine was in was recyclable.
Okay.
But yeah, no, like
I
that.
pulled up a picture of Wild Blossom Meadery because they've got this hive line, and it's all in aluminum, and he put in a pretty significant canning line. He actually has a contract with Trader Joe's that is pretty significant. It all has to be organic and, recyclable in the whole 9 yards. But he said that it's doing really well. Sales are going very well, and to have a contract. I don't recall how long he had to work to get that contract. And obviously there was a big investment that he had to make in order to keep up with the demand. But he would be another person that members could reach out to and talk to if you were interested in pursuing this. I know many, several of our members, like Daryl and Tina Simmermaker at West of Wise, have their they have some of their cider in a can that is more the shape of what Doug was showing, but it's all aluminum, and it sells out. Like, I had some left at the end of summer. I swear I could have sold it on eBay and probably got like, I teased, I'm like, that's my jackpot. I'm going to sell it on eBay. But consumers seem to be appreciating this and wanting the options that are more easily transportable. So it's fun to watch you guys, breaking new ground and trying these new things. And if we can share that information with each other and kind of become a leader as we're moving into, whatever the wine story is going to be moving forward, it's nice to see that we're on the cutting edge of that.
That ginger mule was really good too, by the way.
I never got over there to try it. You know how it is with events. You think you have the time.
They were right next door to me, so we just did a little monetary exchange. So it was good.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm super excited for them. That's a big deal to have that kind of a contract with Trader Joe's, and maybe more of you can work something out like that also. Doug, anything else come to mind related to this that you wanted to say and haven't been able to?
Yeah, one of the things I believe, from what I understand, talking to the guys that do the canning, they're going to be doing this again in Illinois, and I think they're canning for the Poor Vineyard, but they're not doing.
Travis, this is interesting. Travis has done, I don't know if you guys can see it, their sangria mix in a can. So this does not include the wine. And it's got an interesting, different little top, but I thought it was so unique and just kind of cute. And they always have everything packaged so nicely together. But maybe he's doing something that's ready to drink, but this is their sangria mix, and they only sell it as a companion to the bottles of wine you need to make it. So you
Oh,
can't
wow.
go in there and buy this without making the wine purchase too. Or at least that's what it was when I was there. And I think that was last summer, but, he gave me an empty can so I could have it on my little collection above my desk.
So, if I'm not mistaken, I think, they're going to be doing the canning for the Poor Vineyard. They're meeting halfway and they're going to be doing it at August Hill.
Oh, well,
So
there
So
you
he's
go, giving
familiar-
away
he's
trade
familiar with-
secrets.
yeah, he's familiar with Mark. Yeah, I'm giving away secrets, right?
I'm sure, Mark, one thing I really enjoy about our industry and our organization in particular is how quick everyone is to help each other out. I mean, the saying you're only as strong as your weakest link is certainly true. And it seems like nobody here wants to have a weak link. So I've never heard a story of someone needing help and not getting it from another member. So it makes it really easy to work with and for you guys. It's great.
Well, we appreciate all you're doing.
Anybody have anything else? Peggy, did you have anything you wanted to talk about? Jeremy?
I've got nothing.
All right. Well, if there's nothing more, we can end our wind down a little bit early and everybody can get back to the real work of having your beverage, your end of the day beverage. And thank you again for being on the call and for all you do to help make our competition as great as it is. And Lisa was a behind the scenes volunteer this year and she did a fabulous job. So thank you. Thank you for that. We appreciate that help and support. It's quite a monster to do. But I think the process is pretty smooth. 5 years in, we know what we're doing. And we have systems and we're always looking for ways to improve. So thank you very much for spending some time with us and helping us get that done. So I'm going to stop recording now and we can, if I can figure out where that's at. And I know Jeremy and I had